Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CFA Society Sri Lanka, I would like to welcome you all for today's virtual conversation on CFA Program Access Scholarship Information Session. Today's webinar is part of a series of webinars being organized by CFA Society Sri Lanka to educate our prospective candidates on the CFA program and related support that we provide. Primary objective of today's session would be to educate you more on the CFA Institute scholarships. And we believe CFA Institute scholarship are part of our commitment to promoting the highest standards of ethics, education, professional excellence. Our scholarships help make the CFA charter more attainable and give more people an opportunity to advance their careers. For you, I believe the scholarship can be more than financial support, and I'm sure it will be an opportunity to pursue longer term your goals. You may be aware that the CFA Charter is a designation awarded by CFA Institute to those who have completed the CFA program, which is the highest distinction in the investment industry and considered as a gold standard in the investment profession. Currently, the CFA Charter is a globally recognized qualification and is held by over 170,000 professionals worldwide and in 164 markets. In Sri Lanka, we have produced over 300 charter holders, and currently there are about 600 candidates pursuing the CFA program. Coming back to today's session, we have two eminent speakers who will enlighten you on the CFA program scholarship and later join us to answer your questions. Today we have Mr. Thilan Sampath, the CFA charter holder, who is the scholarship committee chair of CFA Society Sri Lanka, and with him Mr. Sachin Naik, manager, candidate and membership strategy for India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh from CFA Institute. I welcome them and thank them for being with us this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, with that introduction, I would like to invite Thilan to address you first. Thilan, over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Aruna, for the introduction and good evening to all the candidates who have joined this session. And thanks, Sachin and the rest of the CFA members who have organized this session as well. So I am Thilan. I oversee the scholarship committee activities for CFA Society Sri Lanka, which I have started this actually last year. Before that, I have been sitting on the sitting on the interview panels of the scholarship for a while. I mean, some of you all would know my background. I work for Userbase Sri Lanka. So to start with, let me share my screen where I will take you through few things, few messages from my side. Okay, you can see my screen. I don't know, you can see?
We can see us, Thilan, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so let's start. Agenda wise on the speech, the talk I'm going to give, there are three things I'm going to briefly address. Objective of the session, then the background and the history of the scholarship program in CFA Sri Lanka. And then there has been a recent change to the process. And that's one of the main things we wanted to have this awareness session today as well. So moving on for the objectives. So Arun also mentioned briefly the objectives of this session, but if I elaborate a bit more, of course, our grand objective is we want to, promote CFA as the ultimate qualification or the gold standard for the investment profession. That's the key thing. And in Sri Lanka, we currently have around 600 candidates, as Aruna said. And we want these 600 candidates to get charters as soon as possible, as well as more and more candidates who are not who are young individuals, young professionals, to take up CFA and succeed in their careers. That's the anyway bigger objective of all the activities we are doing for the CFA Institute and the CFA Society Sri Lanka. Going on to this particular session, so we want to increase the awareness of the access scholarship mainly. We will come to those details, especially given the process have changed this year, how it's going to be awarded. Then we want to encourage whoever, doing exams in August this year to May next year. So they can apply now. The deadline is on February, like in 1 week's time. So we want to make sure there are enough applications we receive for the Global Institute. So moving on, so those are the objectives. Then brief background of our scholarship activities. So CFA Institute offers a variety of scholarships. It includes access scholarship, women's scholarship, student, professor, and regulator. So our focus today is about the access scholarship. So which is given for individuals who may not afford the program fee. So it's a more on a financial side and assistance that CFA Institute is willing to provide for candidates. So in terms of the assistance, if I just give you quick numbers, so your cost will be roughly around 1,150 if you register for level 1 on the early registration fee. But if you get the scholarship, it will be only $250. So around $900 savings is the value of the scholarship if you get. So in our activities, like we have been awarding scholarship for a long time now. I have been, as I said before, I have been sitting on the selection panel for a long time. If you just take the last 3 years, we have awarded over 110 scholarships on the access scholarship only. So you can see in the chart, number of applications and the number of awards we have given. So last 2 years, we have given around 30, and the previous year it was closer to 50. And it's how many we get is a function of how many applications we get as well. So that's why we want to make sure that we get enough applicants as well. Then moving on, so something I want to highlight is the process, how we award scholarships in CFA Institute. There has been a change. So if I just show you here, previous process was CFA Institute provides an allocation to Sri Lanka, CFA Sri Lanka, saying, okay, you can award 35 scholarships this year, or a particular number. Then that is a starting point. And then candidates apply to CFA Sri Lanka in the past. I think we used to run we used to ask them to email us the, application with the CV, etc. That included information about the, reasons why you want the scholarship, etc. Then we used to evaluate. There used to be a panel 5-6 CFA members who will sit down and evaluate these applications, and most of the time call them for short interviews as well, and then evaluate everybody and award to the best candidate we thought who are the fitting ones. And then when we give the names of the candidates who we have selected, CFA Institute makes the arrangement to reduce the course fee, etc. through the system. So that was the previous one. But from this year, there were several reasons to the change to happen. But before the reasons, I will just explain the change. It has become much more simpler, where still CFA Institute will provide an allocation to CFA Sri Lanka. However, that will depend on how many applications we get, etc. as well. But now candidates need to apply to CFA Institute directly. And Sachin in the next session will show you the application process, the steps in the application, and what you need to fill, what sort of information you need to fill, etc. Then the evaluation is also done from the CFA Institute side. And then the candidates will be communicated by the CFA Institute itself. And as I mentioned here, the role of the CFA, Sri Lanka's scholarship committee is changed to creating an awareness about the scholarship program and direct relevant candidate to apply. Plus, assisting selected candidates. So after you have got the, scholarships, has assisted them through the program. I believe this is already been happening through our candidate council, which is headed by Travis Gomez. And we will anyway, scholarship committee also will be, supporting those activities on the engagement side. So that is, those are the messages I wanted to mention to you. Then I think, Aruna, over to you back. Yeah.
Right. So thank you, Tilan, for that brief introduction about the history of how the scholarships have been offered and how we have worked on the scholarship scheme. So with that, now I would like to invite Sachin Naik to make his presentation all about the CFA Access Scholarship Program. Before that, I also would like to remind you that if you have any questions, you have opportunity of putting on the chat box so that either Tilan or Sachin can respond to you, or during the Q&A session, we can give an answer. So with that, Sachin, over to you to make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aruna. Thanks for this introduction. Let me just pull up my screen quickly. All right, great. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for taking time out to join us today for this session. My name is Sachin Naik, and as Aruna has introduced me, I'm part of the CFA Institute office based in India. I've been part of the team for the last 6 years, working more closely with the candidate and member community in India. And just recently, I have started engaging with the Bangladesh and Sri Lankan community as well. And I will especially like to thank CFA Society Sri Lanka for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. So before I begin, firstly, I hope all of you are doing fine and keeping well in this current challenging times. And CFA Institute has gone through it as well with all of you. We have seen a number of changes happening to our exam process, our exam pattern, but we hope to be back when we have already started delivering our exams in all markets, and we hope that this pandemic will be soon behind us. With that, let us come to the session today, Access Scholarships. And I'd like to thank Thilan. Thilan had given us a good context on what the scholarship is all about and how it helps you, and especially thank the committee as well as the society for its active promotion over the last few years. So before I take into the scholarship as well, let me first quickly give you some background about CFA Institute. I'm assuming most of you will be a new prospect who have not yet registered for a CFA program. So you might not be aware of CFA Institute, or you would have read some bit here and there. But quickly taking it through a background, we are a global not-for-profit organization, and it's the world's largest association of investment professionals. Our mission, as Aruna was pointing out, is to lead the investment profession globally by promoting the highest standard of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of the society. It's a vast global network, 170,000 plus charter holders worldwide and growing strong. The Asia Pacific market is where now the number of candidates coming into the program are much more in comparison. So the popularity of the program has spread far and wide from where it started in the North America's region. It's a 3-level program, as some of you should be aware. Level 1, level 2, level 3 to be taken sequentially. Of course, there are some rules on how frequent and in between what time period that you can take each level if you clear the previous level. There are about the topics are divided into 10 topical areas. I will encourage you to spend some time on the CFA Institute website to understand this topic, the content more in detail. I'm afraid I won't be spending a lot of time on this aspect as our focus today is a little different. But yeah, maybe in future, if you ever come back to such a session, happy to dive deeper as well. And what happens after you clear level 3? I mean, it's a 3-level program, but do you get the charter right away? The answer is no. Once you clear the level 3 exam, you have to apply and become a member of CFA Institute. You need to become a regular member of CFA Institute. And in order to become a regular member and be approved for it, you need about 4,000 hours of qualified work experience in the investment management industry, which should be spread across at least 3 years, if not more. And you need to give us 2 or 3 professional references. So once you apply and your membership is approved, it is then when you can go ahead and be called as a CFA charter holder. So that's where your journey continues with us. It's not an end. There's lots you can do after you become a CFA charter holder as well. And the society in Sri Lanka is very well placed to guide you on that. Coming to the program and the exam piece itself. Now, even before you sign for the program, now do note that CFA program, CFA exam is a serious investment of time, effort, and money. Time, why I say is each level of the program, you will take at least a minimum of 300 hours of preparation, if not more. And how seriously, how diligently you study will all depend on your own ability as well. But beyond time, beyond the effort, if you have to manage your college or if you have to manage your work or home, that's something that you need to figure out your balance as well. And the last piece, money. So as Thilan pointed out, it's about $1,100, $1,150 at the bare minimum that you might need to pay for a new entrant to the CFA program. So there's a $450 one-time enrollment fee if you're signing up for CFA program for the first time. And depending on when you join the program, that is, there will be 2 different deadlines. So if I'm talking about, say, an August exam window, there is an early bird registration deadline, for which you need to pay $700. The deadline for that window is just behind us. It was 9th of February, but you also have a standard deadline available, which will be in another 3 months' time. But if you miss this early bird deadline, you might end up paying $1,000 plus $450 for a first-time candidate. So your initial investment can be anywhere between $1,150 to $1,450 at the bare minimum. Now, this is not a small amount of money for most of you, if not for all of you, right? And before investing such a big amount, you have to take a conscious decision whether this program is right for you and this is the industry where you want to build your career. Having said that, the topic of today's session is scholarship. We know it's a it will be an expensive program for many markets, including emerging markets like India, Sri Lanka, etc. Right? So we do have a scholarship program which helps you in a significant manner as well. And I think Stilan has already given you some bit of idea on that front. So scholarship helps you in your journey to get your CFA charter maybe a little bit more attainable. At least the money portion will be supported by CFA Institute. The enrollment fee, the $450 enrollment fee, which I've talked about, will be waived off if you're awarded the scholarship. And if it's an access scholarship, your registration fee will be further discounted down. So the $450 goes away and the $700 gets discounted to $250. It's awarded on a rolling basis. So this is a change for especially access scholarship this year. We are aligning it to the new exam format around computer-based exam. Earlier, we used to have exams only twice in a year. That was June and December. But with the rollout of computer-based exams in 2021, we have now 4 different exam windows. That's February, May, August, and November. So we have aligned a scholarship program to the new computer-based testing format. And if you're not sure, I mean, it's not just access scholarship. CFA Institute has more than one scholarship available. If you're not sure which scholarship is right for you, there is a scholarship assessment tool available on our website as well. We have 2 types of, I'll broadly categorize them into 2 types. Access scholarship, which will focus more time and effort today over here. And there's also something called as role-based scholarship. Talking about excess scholarship, I've already highlighted the discounted fee that you will get once you are awarded a scholarship. So 1150 will be lower to $250 as a registration fee, and it will include everything. There's no separate charge that we make. It is awarded in multiple cycles. So currently we have a window open for application. It's opened on the it opened in January and it will be closing on 14th February. I do have the dates in my next slide, so don't worry about that. I'll show the exact dates as well. And once the window closes, we will do a review and then award the scholarships to everyone who's getting it. The timeline to utilize a scholarship is a period of 1 year from when you are awarded. So you will be awarded by 31st March of this year. It will be valid for a 1 year period, and you can use it across 5 exam cycles. So this is access scholarship. Role-based scholarship are a little different. There are different types of scholarship under role-based. There's women's scholarship, regulator, university scholarship, etc. I do have one slide towards the end, which will talk specifically about the different types of role-based scholarships. In the case of role-based scholarship, if and when you're awarded, your registration fee for a first-time entrant will be lower to $350. So that's the difference between the two types of scholarship. Now, anything from here on, what we are talking will be exclusively for excess scholarship only, unless I state something to the contrary. So first and foremost, the cycles for this year, for the program year 2022, we have 2 cycles of application. The one currently open has opened on 10 January and will close on 14 February. So it's just another few days, about 4 to 5 days from now. It's a short time. So if you are taking a decision, make sure you are clear on the requirements, etc., before you go ahead and apply. The award for the scholarship will begin after we close this window. So between 15th of Feb to 31st of March, we will be awarding the scholarship. And once it is awarded, it will be valid for a period of 1 year till 31st March 2023. So by then, you should use it for any of the exam windows that is shown on the last row. That is August, November of 2022, or February, May, and August of 2023. So you have an opportunity now to use it across 5 different exam windows across any of the levels. I'm saying any of the levels because if I assume that somebody would have already cleared level 1 today in this audience, they can apply for level 2 as well, and likewise for level 3 if anyone is cleared level 2. If you're missing this cycle, there's another cycle which will open up on 9th of May and will be closing by 13th of June. And the awards will be given by 31st of July. And likewise, for the first cycle, the second cycle also, you can use it for a period of 1 year for any of the 5 exam windows that we have shown here. For next year's exam window, you will have to wait to know the scholarship dates that will come up. So that will come up on our website by around July of this year. Moving on, how do I apply? So all applications are online. You have to go onto the CFA Institute website, go on to www.cfainstitute.org. Go on to the top left-hand corner, there's programs, select programs. There'll be a drop-down which will appear, which you can see on the left of your screen right now. And when you click on the drop-down, go down the CFA program list and you'll see apply for a scholarship. Click on the link for apply for a scholarship and it will open up a new page, which will list all the different types of scholarship you have available. So scroll down and you will come across a section for access scholarship. Select it and then the access scholarship page will open up. In the access scholarship page, initially there will be a few details shown about the access scholarship, but once you scroll down, there will be a question on how do I apply. So just click on that and you will see the link as you can see on your screen right now. The next few slides, I will take you through the application process itself. Once you click on the access scholarship application, what is it that you should expect? So this is the first page that you land on once you click. Leaving the first two boxes aside, those are for internal administrative purpose. If you look at the application acknowledgement, now these are the rules. That's something you should read before you apply. Uh, do note, excess scholarship is essentially for those who are not able to financially afford the program. So financial need will be a key criteria for this scholarship. There are other factors, parameters also we do look into, but it's financial assistance that is what we are providing through this program. And if you have registered for CFA program already, do note you can't apply for a scholarship. So scholarship application has to happen even before you register. You have to wait to get your scholarship to register for the program. So if in the process is if after you apply for a scholarship and you're waiting for the award of the scholarship, in between, if you go ahead and apply or register for CFA program, your application will be voided. So you will not be eligible for scholarship. So do remember, you should not be a registered candidate or register for the program till your application for scholarship is through. All right. Read all the rules. It is there on the website as well. What rules are applicable? There will be some conflict of interest policy, etc. Do read through that. It's short. It's not a big rule book. So about a couple of pages, you can quickly go through that. As Thilan pointed out, going forward, all applications are now reviewed by CFA Institute directly across the world. Unlike previously, where local societies used to step in, now all applications, wherever candidates are applying, will come to CFA Institute directly and we will review it. And I mean, there might be one question on how will you judge the financial need for a candidate in Sri Lanka vis-a-vis a candidate in Singapore. So when somebody is applying from Sri Lanka, we will look at your application in light of candidates from a similar market from Sri Lanka itself. So if anyone is applying from India, we will look at similar cases from India itself. It's not across the market that we compare. So rest assured on that point. Once you move forward on the next screen, once you acknowledge the previous page, the next page will ask for your personal details. It will ask you to identify which country you are based in. So once you select Sri Lanka, it will show up CFA Society Sri Lanka on the right hand of the first box you can see right on top. Then there'll be a few personal details, your date of birth, name, address, etc., which will be asked, and finally country. Once you submit these details and move on to the next screen, this is where we will ask you for a financial information. And this is the key information that CFA Institute will use to decide whether or not to award you the scholarship. So starting with the first question will be on dependents. How many dependents do you have? If you are a salaried person, how many dependents do you take care of in your family? What's the current employed status? Are you salaried? Are you working? Or are you a student? If you're not currently employed, you can select no and proceed further. What's your annual household gross income? And when I say household gross income, it will include a number of things: your salary, your bonus, your spouse's salary, your family business income, real estate income, etc. So all this you need to take into consideration when you select one of the option as shown in your screen below, whether it's less than 10,000, whether it's 10,000 to $20,000, etc. Now, for you to convert Lankan rupees to US dollar, we have also provided a common conversion chart over here. So you will see a chart, a link to a chart on this page, on your application page. And it's a static conversion number that we take. Usually before the exam window opens up, we'll take what is the conversion rate at the end of that particular month. So it is uniform across all the applicants. So somebody applying on say 14th February doesn't use a different conversion rate than somebody applying on a 14th Jan. So we are trying to keep it at par for everyone who's applying. After you provide us your household income, we will check with you on your net assets. What all assets do you own? So you'll need to provide us a sum of that approximate range, like if it's less than $25,000 or $25 to $50,000. Similarly, the chart is available over here as well. Do provide us to the best and to the most honest disclosures that you can make, right? I'll come to this particular aspect a little later. What if students are falsifying, etc.? So I'll touch upon this towards the end. Last but not the least, a personal statement. Now, why do you want the scholarship? So we will need to know it from you. Don't keep it as a big story, but try to limit to specific points. There is some guidelines provided on the website on what all we look into. As I said, this scholarship essentially talks about your financial needs. So be clear to bring it out. Beyond that, we will also be happy to hear from you what your accomplishments are, whether in your academic or your professional life. Are there any obstacles that you have overcome in your journey? And why is it that you are looking to get the scholarship, or why is it that you are looking to go through a CFA program? What is your long-term interest, etc.? Be specific, be to the point as much as possible, and help the reviewer who's reviewing it to make a clear judgment or understanding based on the personal statement as well. And so once you finish the personal statement, the final thing is to just acknowledge and submit your application. And then you need to wait for us to come back to you. So this is the step-by-step process on how you go ahead and apply for an Access scholarship. Just going back to the previous slide. So when you're submitting your Access scholarship application, do note the second bullet point where we have clearly mentioned whatever information you provide us has to be accurate for and true. If it's any details are inaccurate, false, and untruthful, you can be a subject of investigation from the CFA Institute Professional Conduct Program at any given point of time. Even after you may have cleared 2 or 3 levels or become a member, if there's ever an inquiry and we go back and ask you details, there can be a disciplinary action initiated, and different kind of actions might be taken, and not for scholarship, but for other areas. We do have gone to the extent of taking back the charter for some of our members. So be ethical, be truthful in whatever you provide us in this application. All right, as I promised, the last slide, this is on different types of role-based scholarship that is out there. The first one is women's scholarship. So any women candidate who is interested in pursuing the CFA program can also apply for a women's scholarship. The window, the timeline is there on the website. The next window will be open from 1st to 28th of March. And so do keep a note of all those dates. As I mentioned in the previous slide, one of the previous slide, the discounted registration fee, if you're awarded any of this scholarship fee, is $350. Then there's a student scholarship, which is awarded to anyone who's attending our affiliated university. So we have a university affiliated program. So if there are universities who are in affiliation with CFA Institute, so we do have a certain number of scholarship for some of the students in these universities. We do have scholarship for professors as well who are teaching at universities, as well as the regulator in the market. So these are different types of role-based scholarship. I hope this session was helpful for most of you, just to understand what scholarships are and how do you go about applying. I will request Aruna now to take back the mic, and I'm happy to be around to answer further questions through the session. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sachin, for that very insightful presentation on the scholarships. I cannot see any questions on the chat box. It seems you had done a wonderful job in presenting it. However, I just want to ask you a question. In fact, you did elaborated once the scholarship is granted that it will be applicable for 5 exam sessions.
Correct.
Could you elaborate a little more on that?
Okay. So the current exams, this current scholarships scholarship cycle, which is open till 14th of Feb, if anyone is applying within this window, and if their scholarship is accepted and awarded latest by 31st of March, they can use this scholarship and register for 5 different exam cycle, whichever one they choose to register. The earliest is August of 2022. So as I had described earlier in my slide, rather in my presentation, now CFA Institute exams are across 4 different exam windows in a year. Especially level 1 is available in all 4 windows. So if anyone was awarded a scholarship now in this window, they can use it for August or for November 2022 or for any of the next 3 exam cycles in 2023. So those are the 5 exam cycles I've mentioned. And the last is August of 2023 exam that they can register, but they need to make sure they complete the registration by 31st of March 2023. If they fail to use it, their scholarship will go in waste. And this is something, Aruna, actually, I want to point out also, rather highlight. When you are applying for a scholarship, be clear that you need that scholarship, because if you're awarded and you don't end up using it, you are you're wasting one scholarship which another candidate might have helped out, him or her, it would have helped out. Have I answered your question, Aruna?
Yes. So the clarification on the same thing, what I would like to know is if a student is granted a scholarship, and students have the opportunity of looking at 5 exams.
Correct.
Or before 2023 May. But of course, if the students in the event student gets through the level 1 exam, he can go for the level 2.
That's true.
Using the scholarship.
So if he's already registered right now, he cannot apply. He or she cannot apply for a scholarship.
Okay.
But if they've not registered candidate and they've applied for a scholarship, they use it for level 1, then that scholarship is done. And if the candidate clears level 1 using this scholarship, for level 2 and level 3 also they want a scholarship, they can come back and apply in a similar manner. So there's no restriction on how many times they can apply. They can apply for all 3 levels if they think they're eligible.
Right. So what you're trying to say is once you applied, it is applicable for 1 level.
It's applicable for 1 level, one particular level. Because once you register, then you have to, you will not be able to use the scholarship.
Right. Okay. So that's clear. So you are given a fairly long time to complete the exams.
Correct.
And to get the best out of the scholarship, if that is the case. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's a fantastic opportunity for anyone getting the scholarship. Yes. Yeah. Right. So Thilan, is there anything that you would like to add? Is there any missing point in the event there are no questions? Is there anything you would like to add?
Well, yeah, so something from my end I want to add is, so when you're filling, be objective as possible. It's a message I want to give, don't, so CFA will not be asking for proof, but we will, as Sachin mentioned once, there'll be disciplinary action, inquiry, etc. However, we want to urge that it's a part of ethics, and to be objective when you are applying for it. You can put the real numbers, and it will be evaluated fairly.
Thilan, the question I have for you is that as the chairman of the scholarship committee, and also you have been a panel member for quite a long time, what is your experience with our past scholarship holders, and how do you think that how best they have progressed after getting the scholarship?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, thanks for bringing up that, Aruna. So from one end, I know several our fellow charter holders now, who we remember really utilizing it, and succeeding in their careers, trying doing CFA through scholarships. So I remember there were some candidates, all 3 levels. We were happy to give them the scholarship, and they took, and every exam, they took it up, etc., and they completed it. So there are enough success stories we can share if somebody want to hear on the past experience. That's number one. Number two would be there were, so one of the criterias actually the CFA Institute have mentioned also, it's not only financial that will be, looked at. There will be criterias like, how serious this candidate is, looking at doing CFA. So some things we looked at when we were chatting with the candidate also. Okay, you just started SEMA and you are going to start CFA as well. So if there are conflicts like that, we would say, okay, you better finish SEMA and then, post CFA as a postgraduate, you should start after that. So there were things like that. And you are just, you just got to an Ivy League university and, you are applying for the scholarships while doing that degree as well. So that also sometimes it's a mismatch. So that kind of scenarios, I mean, you can be very pragmatic and, you need to make a decision there. And I think the institute side, I think now those things won't be, I don't know how it will be considered. So therefore it's from your own side, you need to make a decision whether you will really need it as well. Or, are you definitely going to do the exam on one of these occasions? That's the key thing. Yeah, so that's the second. Yeah, anything else on our side? I think something I want to say for university students is, so we used to have a lot of university students in the recipient list because on the financial side, they score very high because, they don't have a source of income, they're students. And so we have affiliated universities, 4 of them, and they get, you get scholarship through them, that path as well, about 2 to 3 scholarships per university. But however, but there are, hundreds of students in one university in a given year. So you can make use of that. And if you are a university student, you will get a better chance of, I think, getting the scholarship as well.
Sure. Sachin, there's a question, perhaps you may want to answer it. There's a person who is just starting CFA, how I should approach CFA?
Okay. Well, I would like to understand this question, or rather answer this question from 2 aspects. Firstly, if the candidate has not yet registered, I've mentioned it's a serious investment of time, effort, and money, right? So be clear on the reason for why you're joining the CFA program. Is it the industry that where you want to build a long-term career? So investment management industry. So if you do not understand what the industry is all about, I think there is enough and more resources available online. If you can just go about trying to understand what work an asset management manager, a portfolio manager, a wealth management manager does. All of this might not click easily, but at least it will give you some sense of, is this the area where I want to go? And then I want to invest time and effort. If you have already taken the decision, how do I go about it? I think CFA Society Sri Lanka does a fantastic job in supporting its candidates, guiding them at various stages. I'm sure you'll also do a good job. But from my end, I will guide you that the program itself is a self-study program. It's designed in such a way there is a beautiful learning ecosystem which is already built in, which helps you build your own timetable depending on your pre-existing knowledge as well. So based on your pre-existing knowledge, say if you're taking November exam, it will guide you on how much time you have to spend in module 1, module 2, etc. So if that's something which you are ready for, doing a self-study learning ecosystem is absolutely beautiful. You can of course reach out to the society, or you can reach out to fellow candidates also, study in a group. That will help you more get more clarity as well. And I think last but not the least, there are training providers also who provide additional support if that is what you're looking at. But to come back to my original point, be clear why you're starting the journey. This is the industry where you want to build a career. And if you're not clear, reach out and talk to people on this. Does that answer your question, Aruna, on that?
Yeah, I think yes. I also would like to mention, mm, apart from what you mentioned from uh, CFA Sri Lanka point of view, we have a candidate council. Uh, the council organizes and do a lot of session in order to support completing the candidates exams. So, and there are quite a lot of sessions if you become a member of the candidate council to in order to pass your exams. They do a lot of give a lot of study tips, exam tips, and also how to improve your soft skill, etc. So that's another opportunity the candidate will have. Coming back to Thilan, in the recent past, I have seen that there is a great demand for CFA charter holders and also the candidates, requesting various employers our qualification. How do you see that progress? How do you see that demand happening in Sri Lanka? And apart from the investment industry, I think there are employers requesting the CFA candidates or charter holders for various positions in their own organizations, like in the treasury management, the valuation, the risk aspect. So it's we can see it's in Sri Lanka it's getting broadened, and then more and more opportunities are creating for students. It's not only focusing only on the investment industry. How do you see that development, Tilan? Because that might be helpful if anyone thinking of applying for scholarship and then pursuing in this line. And also the qualification here in Sri Lanka is highly regarded because it's equivalent to, as you said, postgraduate. How do you see that the development, Tilan?
Well, yeah, so that's definitely, definitely a positive development for the institute as well as the professionals. So something, first of all, from my end, what I can say is, okay, so within Sri Lanka, there is a high demand, but there's another aspect I think the candidate should consider. So I mean, we are living in a era where now it's mobile, right? I mean, if COVID wasn't there, I mean, we can move freely within countries, and we can, I mean, we have enough organizations in Sri Lanka where we do global work while sitting in Sri Lanka. So to excel on those careers, for example, my current organization currently, so we don't do the investment profession, but we are like industry research related, and we work for the US and South Asian markets. Especially for the US market, if we now have CFA, that is definitely like 5 times advantage than any other qualification, because they immediately recognize you are a CFA if you are working with a client in USA. So that's one thing I want to say as a positive thing we need to consider. And most of these young individuals, you should aspire to be global professionals, and this is like one of the most useful parts you can have. That's number one. Related to that, what you mentioned, Aruna. Yeah, in addition, I think it's been recognized for the ethics and the ethics part, as well as the vast knowledge we have on the other functions. So it's definitely an encouragement sign for most of the students. But honestly, I don't have much information to tell any other because I'm not in because I'm my background is on the investment side, at least research side. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Thilan. Sachin, I think there's a question. I think I would like to for you to take this question.
Right.
The question is a small clarification. The 3-year work experience requirement, is it counted pre-registration or the post-registration? Or should you have completed all 3 levels?
Okay. All right. Just to differentiate now, the 3-year experience requirement which I mentioned is for membership. For registering for the CFA program, it's not a mandatory requirement. The earliest anyone can register for the level 1 of CFA program is and take the exam is if you are in the final year of your undergrad program. So that's not a criteria for registration for the program. The 3 years come for your membership and to get your charter. Now, those 3 years can be at any given point of time in your professional journey. It is, you would have already started in the industry and then decided to register for level 1. All those prior experiences considered. Likewise, when you move on through the levels, either it's before you register for the program or during your program or after your program, every experience which is relevant in your professional journey is considered in those 3 years. I hope I'm clear on that, Aruna.
So Sachin, I think that maybe there can be maybe clarification probably may not be clear. So if this is for the work experience, I think you clearly define what it is.
Correct.
But when it's come to the pre-registration of the CFA for level 1, so it can be you if you are an undergraduate and if you are in the final year, you are entitled to register for CFA. If not, you have to complete your degree. If not, I think you need to have 4 years of work experience. With that, you should be able to join the program.
That's correct. So the last criteria, I mean, that's not something which many people are aware of.
Yes.
If you have not completed your undergrad for any reason and you already started working, there is still a path for candidates like those who can show the 4 years of professional experience and join the CFA program.
Yes.
But if you're already in the university final year or already completed your graduation, you are eligible to right away go and register.
Yes. Also, I think the work experience, the 4 years work experience is subject to the verification by the CFA Institute. And also, I think the production of the relevant documentation is how they will, I think, accept if you don't have a degree. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we do not ask documents at any stage of whether it's a program or membership. So that's not something, it's all self-declaration, right?
Yeah.
So candidates have to be truthful and when they are registering with the details. So likewise, when they are applying with those 4 years of experience, and those 4 years of experience for a CFA program registration need not be investment industry related. It can be any kind of experience, but these are rare examples. I'm hopeful and I'm sure many of the candidates here will be already in the university program or would have already cleared the university program. So that should not be too much of confusion for them.
Sure. Right. So
I think there's one more question.
Yes. It's I'm registered for level 2, Feb 2022. Can I apply for a scholarship to do a level 3? Is the scholarship cycle ending on the 14th February?
Okay. You want me to take that, Aruna?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So the answer is no. You will not be able to apply for scholarship if you're a registered candidate. So you will need to wait for your February results to come out. And after you get your results, if you have passed the level 2 exam, you need to wait for the next window when the scholarship cycle opens up. Of course, there will be multiple windows that I have described earlier, and then only apply. But a registered candidate cannot apply for the same, in your case, for level 2 or level 3 of scholarship. So you need to wait till you have a results in hand.
Sachin, related to that question, when would the next application opening window, when would you start? I think you listed out, but for his benefit, if you would like to quickly mention that.
Yes. So if you're a February candidate for level 2, you should expect your results, say around the month of April. And the next window opens on 9th of May to 14th of June, next scholarship window. So if you should have your results by the next scholarship cycle already in your hand. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then he can apply that time. Yes.
Correct.
Right. So throughout the year, we have this for the 2022, how many windows would get open for the scholarships?
So for the program year 2022, that is exams which you are doing in this 2022 year, there is only 2 windows, the current one and the one in May to June.
Right.
But for program year 23 January exam, I mean, you can use a scholarship which you get right now for next year as well. But going forwards for 2023 program cycle, we will have more than 2, at least 3 scholarship windows through the year. That's what is the plan as of now.
Okay. Right. Clear. Right. So, right. Okay. So, I was a little bit late to join for the session, so I missed the first part of the session. Is there any other way to get the information? So I believe, Sachin, I think all the details relating to the scholarships is on the website. If you visit the CFA Institute website, if
That's
not,
correct.
if you go to our YouTube channel, CFA Society Sri Lanka, there this is being recorded and it's there, so you can once again you can listen to this conversation and gather all the details. If not, you can always write to the CFA Society Sri Lanka with the questions, so that we will be able to answer your questions. Yeah.
Right. And just one quick point on that. So if during your application at any stage you are stuck, of course, as Aruna pointed out, you can reach out to the society, but you can also write to CFA Institute at any given point of time. The customer service ID remains same. It's info@cfainstitute.org. So anywhere, if you're stuck, reach out to your local society, or if you want to reach out to institute, reach out on the info@cfainstitute.org email ID.
Okay, so good. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the information session. So let me thank all those who have joined with us today. We hope that the session was very insightful, and you will be able to think about applying for scholarships and then progress in your careers. So at the same time, I would like to thank the Tilan and Sachin, despite your busy schedule, joining with us and to educate all the students, all those who are interested in the CFA program. So with that, thank you very much. And of course, as I mentioned, you can go to our website or our social media slides and then listen to all those sessions. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Sachin. Thanks.